When you live with pain for years, something inside you changes. Not just your body, your energy, your mood, your way of seeing the day ahead. Some mornings, it feels like even before you get out of bed, you already know how the day will go. The stiffness, the ache, the slow steps, the effort just to do the little things, it's not just physical, it wears down your spirit too. If you've ever stood in your kitchen and held your back for a second before reaching for the kettle, if you've had to plan your day around what hurts and what doesn't, then I think you'll understand what I'm about to say. I lived like that for a long time. I didn't expect a cure, not at my age. I just wanted a little ease. Not a miracle, just a small change that would make the day feel a little lighter. Maybe you felt the same. Maybe you've also tried the pills, the creams, the stretches, the promises, only to find yourself back at square one. That's what it was like for me, until something very simple, something already in my own kitchen, helped me in a way I never expected. I want to share that with you. I'm not here to sell anything. I'm not a doctor. I'm just someone who, like many of you, was tired of hurting, tired of hoping, tired of trying things that didn't work. And then I found something that brought me comfort, in the gentlest way. Something natural. Something I could do on my own, without side effects, without cost, and without giving up what I was already doing. Before we start, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Just drop your state or city in the comments below. And if you have any natural health tips of your own, feel free to share those too. Someone else might really benefit from hearing what's worked for you. The day I almost gave up. There was a day I remember clearly, not because something happened, but because nothing did. I spent the whole morning sitting, barely moving, because everything hurt. My knees, back, and hands felt heavy and stiff. I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't want to try. And when I caught my reflection later that day, I saw someone tired, hunched, and worn out. I hardly recognized myself. That night was no different. I tossed, turned, and lay awake thinking, maybe this is just how it is now. I remembered the days I could walk for hours, garden, even dance. And now? Just bending down felt like a challenge. For a moment, I truly believed the pain had won. That this was just part of getting older. A few days later, my niece called to check on me. I told her honestly, walking was hard, and the pain was constant. She listened, then gently asked, "Uncle, have you ever tried turmeric?" I laughed. Turmeric? That yellow powder? It's been sitting in my cupboard for years. I never thought of it as anything more than a spice. She encouraged me to look into it. "Don't stop your treatments," she said. "But it might help more than you think." That night, I did some reading. I learned about curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, and how it reduces chronic inflammation. The more I read, the more it made sense. It wasn't a miracle. It was something gentle. Something used for centuries in India and China. Something natural. For the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful. Maybe this small, golden spice could offer more than flavor. Maybe it could offer a little comfort too. What I learned about turmeric, and why it made sense. Once I started reading more seriously about turmeric, I realized this wasn't just some trend or folk tale passed around the internet. It actually made scientific sense. The key ingredient in turmeric is something called curcumin. That's the part that gives turmeric its deep yellow color, and also most of its healing power. I didn't know this before, but curcumin is a natural anti-inflammatory. And that caught my attention right away. You see, inflammation isn't always a bad thing. It's your body's way of protecting itself, like when you get a cut or a fever. That's called acute inflammation, and it helps the body heal. But the kind we deal with in old age? That's different. That's chronic inflammation. It doesn't come from an infection or injury. It just sticks around, quietly, causing pain in the joints, swelling, stiffness, and even fatigue. And for many of us, that's what's really behind the aches we live with day after day. What's powerful about curcumin is that it doesn't just cover up the pain, it goes deeper. It helps calm that hidden inflammation, the one that slowly wears down your comfort and mobility. But there's a catch. Curcumin on its own isn't easily absorbed by the body. You could eat a spoonful of turmeric and barely get any benefit. That's where black pepper comes in. It contains something called piperine, a natural compound that increases the body's absorption of curcumin by up to 2000%. Just a small pinch makes all the difference. That's why they always go together in these natural recipes. The more I read, the more I realized how gentle turmeric was, and how well it fit into a life like mine. It wasn't going to upset my stomach like some pills. It wasn't going to interfere with my medications. And it didn't make wild promises. It just worked slowly, quietly, and naturally, supporting the body instead of forcing it. At my age, that kind of support is what I value most. So I decided, I'm going to try this. Not instead of everything else, but alongside what I was already doing. Just one more gentle tool in my corner. And the best part? I already had everything I needed right in my kitchen. How I made it, my simple turmeric recipe. When I finally decided to try it, I knew one thing for sure, it had to be simple. I didn't want to chase down fancy ingredients or spend an hour preparing something. I wanted something I could make easily, with what I already had at home. So I looked for the most basic version, and I found it. A recipe so gentle and straightforward, it felt more like a warm comfort drink than a remedy. Here's exactly what I used. 1 level teaspoon of turmeric powder. A small pinch of ground black pepper. 1 cup of plant-based milk. I used oat milk, but almond, rice, or even regular cow's milk will do. 1/2 teaspoon of coconut oil, or extra virgin olive oil if you prefer. A small piece of grated fresh ginger, this part's optional, but I highly recommend it. That's it. No sugar. No complicated steps. I placed everything into a small saucepan. I stirred it gently on low heat. No boiling, just enough to warm it until I saw a bit of steam rising. I kept stirring for about 5 minutes, slow and patient, so nothing would stick to the bottom. When it was ready, I strained it, mostly to remove any undissolved bits of ginger or turmeric. Then I sat down and drank it. Slowly. Quietly. Like a little evening ritual. The taste? It surprised me. Earthy, yes. A little spicy from the pepper and ginger. But the milk and oil softened it, made it creamy and smooth. Some people like to add honey, I didn't. I wanted to keep it simple. Natural. And you know something important I learned along the way? The black pepper isn't just for taste. It's essential. Without it, your body can't absorb much of the curcumin. Even just a pinch makes all the difference. Don't skip it. I made this warm drink every night before bed. No microwave, no shortcuts. Just a quiet moment at the stove. And honestly, that small act, doing something for myself, felt healing all on its own. Like telling my body, I still care about you. What I felt in the first 4 days. I didn't expect anything the first night. I made the turmeric drink slowly, followed the recipe, and sat at the table with my cup. I wasn't hoping for a miracle. I just thought, what do I have to lose? I drank it like I would a cup of tea. Warm. Calm. I went to bed that night not thinking much of it. But somewhere inside, I felt good just knowing I did something kind for myself. The next morning started like usual. A bit stiff. Knees aching when I stood up. But when I walked toward the kitchen, something felt different. I moved a little easier. I wasn't grabbing the counter as much. I noticed the step I usually dreaded, I didn't hold on to anything when I climbed it. Just one small step, but it felt like a victory. Still, I told myself, maybe it's just a good day. Let's wait and see. By the third day, I started noticing real change. I didn't need to sit down so quickly. I wasn't rubbing my hands every few minutes. I could reach up to get a bowl from the cabinet without wincing. It wasn't that all the pain was gone. But the fear of movement, that hesitation we older folks develop when everything starts to hurt, that was loosening its grip. I felt more sure on my feet. What surprised me even more was how my mood lifted. I had more energy. I found myself doing things I'd quietly stopped doing, bending down to pick something up, walking around the house without thinking twice. These small things felt big. Because for the first time in a long while, I wasn't thinking about pain all the time. I was just living. On the fourth day, I called my niece. I told her everything. She laughed and said, "See, Uncle? Sometimes the answers are in your own kitchen." And she was right. It wasn't just the turmeric, it was the experience of feeling some control again. Of knowing that even at 84, my body still had more to give. I hadn't expected that. And that's what made it so powerful. What I learned, and what you should know if you try it. After several days of taking that turmeric drink every night, something became very clear to me. This wasn't about a miracle. It wasn't about waking up one morning and feeling 20 years younger. It was about small, steady change, the kind that sneaks up on you when you're not looking. That kind of change is quiet, but it's real. And in our age, sometimes that's all we need to feel human again. What helped me most wasn't just the physical relief. It was the feeling that I could still do something about how I felt. That I wasn't just stuck waiting for the next prescription or the next doctor's visit. And believe me, I didn't stop my medications. I didn't throw away my walking stick. I kept doing what I was already doing, but I added this little habit, and it made all the difference. Sometimes, it's not about replacing things. It's about adding something gentle that helps your body feel supported. If you decide to try it, I want you to keep something in mind. Turmeric doesn't work like a pain pill. You won't feel better in 30 minutes. But give it time. Take it for a few nights, maybe even a couple of weeks. Let your body adjust. Pay attention. You might not feel a big change right away, but you might notice you're sleeping better, or that you're not groaning as much when you stand. Those little signs matter. Another thing I learned is that pain isn't just in the joints. It lives in stress, in sadness, in the mind. And when we carry that around too long, it builds up in the body. That's why I didn't stop at the turmeric. I started walking again, just 10 or 15 minutes around the yard. I cleaned up my meals, less sugar, more water. I even started going to bed earlier, without the TV on. These changes weren't big. But when I combined them with the turmeric, I started feeling like myself again. So if you try this, don't rush it. Don't overdo the turmeric thinking more will work faster. Just be gentle with yourself. Use good quality turmeric, always add that pinch of black pepper, and take it once a day, preferably at night. Make it a part of your routine, like brushing your teeth. And most of all, do it with care. Because sometimes what really heals us isn't just what we take, it's how we treat ourselves. A message from one older soul to another. At 84, I never thought I'd be learning something new about my body. I figured the time for change had passed. That this was it, slow steps, sore joints, nights full of turning in bed. But this simple recipe, this small act of care, reminded me that we're never too old to feel better. Not perfect. Not pain-free. But better. And when you've lived with pain for years, even a little better feels like a second chance. What surprised me most was how deeply my body responded, not just to the turmeric, but to the idea that I was doing something for myself. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't complicated. It didn't require anything I didn't already have. But it made me feel like I still mattered. That my comfort was worth the effort. That I didn't have to just sit back and accept discomfort as part of aging. If you're reading this and you've been living with daily pain, in your knees, your hands, your back, I want you to hear this from someone who understands. You still deserve relief. You still deserve mornings where getting out of bed doesn't feel like a chore. You deserve to move, to enjoy your day, to take a walk without fear. You deserve peace in your own body, even if it's just a little more than yesterday. I'm not here to promise you that turmeric will fix everything. But I am here to remind you that even small habits can open a door. This golden drink became more than a remedy, it became a message I sent to myself every night: I still care about you. And I believe the body listens to that. So try it, if your heart says yes. Try it not with desperation, but with curiosity. Give it a few days. Let it be a gift to yourself. And if it's not turmeric that helps, then let it be something. But don't stop searching for what brings you comfort. Sometimes healing isn't loud. Sometimes it comes quietly, in a warm cup, made with your own hands. And now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you tried any natural remedies like this one? What's helped you feel better, even in small ways? Share it in the comments. You never know, your story might be just the thing someone else needs to hear today. If you found this helpful, or if you know someone who's struggling with pain, share this with them. Let's remind each other that growing older doesn't mean giving up. Every year matters. Every step toward relief matters. And most importantly, you matter.